Space was silent. The stars hung like cold eyes in the dark. 2 alien fleets floated in high orbit over a dead planet. Sparks of energy blinked between them, warning shots. Both sides were armed, engines hot, and weapons locked. War was moments away. On the bridge of the Zaran Dominion's command ship, Commander Vec hissed, "The Tharex dogs test us again. Hold formation. Prepare strike." His second officer leaned forward. "Commander, I'm reading something. It's not Tharex. What is it?" Vec growled. "A large object. Unknown energy readings. It's just appeared. Location: dead center, between both fleets." The bridge lights dimmed as the crew pulled up visual feed. A massive shape drifted into view. Black, angular, silent. No IFF code, no CUM signals. But every scanner was screaming. "That's no Tharex ship," Vec muttered. "Magnify." On the other side of the battlefield, inside the Tharex Republic's command vessel, panic was rising. Admiral Jeska's voice cracked. "What is that thing?" "It's not one of ours." "Unknown vessel." Admiral, her lieutenant, replied, eyes wide. "Hull pattern does not match any faction. Get me a feed." When the image came through, Jeska froze. The ship was enormous. A triangular black hulk, bristling with strange weapons and jagged plating. Faint blue lights pulsed from deep within its core, like a heartbeat. Jeska leaned forward. "Enhance the hull." Letters appeared on screen. TNS Revenant. Her blood ran cold. "That's human," she whispered. "A Terran ship." Someone gasped. "That can't be. The Terrans left this galaxy centuries ago. I thought they were extinct." The Revenant did not respond to hails. It did not aim weapons. It simply drifted forward, silent and steady. But wherever it went, all nearby systems flickered. One Tharax destroyer drifted slightly too close. Its entire power grid went dead. In both fleets, orders screamed over the CUMs. "Do not engage." Back on the Zarn bridge, Vec stood, eyes locked on the silent behemoth. "I want analysis. Now." "What's it doing?" "It's scanning us," a technician said, voice shaking. Then, "It's hostile." "No, it's not targeting. It's just watching." On the bridge of the TNS Revenant, all was quiet. Captain Valen stood alone at the command platform, hands behind his back. The ship's AI Rise spoke softly. "Enemy fleets detected. Zarn, Dominion and Tharax, Republic. Conflict probability, 93%. Valen nodded. "Passive mode." "Active," Rise replied. "We are invisible to primitive sensors. But now that we have entered their zone, they see us." "Good," Valen said. "Let them." He looked out through the digital viewing wall, watching the fleets hover like insects. The same species that had once tried to invade Earth twice and lost. Rise continued. "Enemy vessels are attempting to communicate. Shall I respond?" "No, not yet. They appear afraid." "They should be." Back in the Tharax fleet, panic spread. Jeska slammed her hand down. "Back the ships off. Now." "They're not moving," her officer said. "Even the Zarn ships have frozen." Jeska's hands trembled. Everyone remembers the stories. The Ghost Fleet, the Silent Ones, the ships that never talked, only destroyed. Suddenly, a smaller alien craft, one, young Tharax, captain, lost his nerve. "Targeting the Terran ship," he said. "We must defend our honor." His crew protested. "Admiral's orders, hold fire." Too late, the destroyer's beam cannon lit the void and shot straight at the Revenant. The beam never made it. A pulse of light shimmered from the Terran ship's hull. No explosion, no flare, just disintegration. The destroyer vanished, not destroyed, erased. A tremor ran through both fleets. Not a weapon, not even a missile, just a cold, quiet end. And then, the Revenant spoke. Across every frequency, in every language, the same message rang out. "Combat zone violation detected. Any further aggression will result in total neutralization." Commander Vec fell into his seat. "Neutralization," he whispered. "They're not here to fight. They're here to judge." Inside the Revenant, Rise processed 4,000 transmissions per second. "All factions have ceased fire," the AI reported. "Scans indicate extreme levels of fear." Captain Valen nodded slowly. "Prepare the message. Activate passive defense. And scan the planet." Rise paused. "We have movement." A third signal, beneath the planet's surface. Valen raised an eyebrow. "Another warship." "No, it's human." Valen stared at the screen, then whispered, "What did we leave behind?" In orbit, the alien fleets were withdrawing. Engines cooled, missiles powered down, but no one turned their backs on the Revenant. Inside their ships, crew members whispered like children in the dark. They've returned. The humans. No one survives their judgment. Aboard the Revenant, Valen stared at the planet below. "Rise," he said. "Begin deep scan. I want to know what's under that surface. That Terran signal shouldn't exist." "Yes, Captain. And keep the weapons locked down unless someone fires again." "As always," the AI replied. "We are watchers, not executioners. But if we are pushed," Valen said coldly, "we burn the stars." Outside, the stars remained silent. The alien fleets drifted slowly away, humbled and shaken. For now, the war was paused, but something far more dangerous had just begun. Humanity had returned to the galaxy, and no one knew why. Not yet. The war zone floated in uneasy stillness. Where moments ago missiles were locked and cannons primed, now silence gripped every ship. Thousands of alien soldiers sat frozen in their seats, afraid to breathe too loud. The Terran warship, TNS Revenant, hung motionless between the fleets, neither friend nor enemy. Just there, silent, watching. Commander Vec, of the Zaan Dominion, paced his bridge, his claws tapping against the metal floor. His voice trembled, but he tried to mask it with command. "Is it moving?" "No, Commander," his officer replied, "still in the same position. But it's scanning us again." "Shields up." "We already tried that," another said. "It bypasses our shields like they're nothing." Vec's eyes narrowed. "Then don't provoke it. No targeting locks, no engine spikes, nothing." The crew nodded, though fear made their skin pale and cold. On the other side of the war zone, Admiral Jessica stood frozen before the massive viewing screen. Her officers whispered, but she didn't answer. Her gaze was locked on the Revenant. "Admiral," her second-in-command finally said, "this is not a warship, it's something worse." Jessica replied softly, "No, it is a warship, just not from any era we understand. It's Terran. That means it doesn't follow the rules. Should we retreat? If we turn our engines on, it may consider it an attack. Then what do we do?" Jessica shook her head. "We wait, and we pray." Inside the Revenant, soft blue lights pulsed across the walls. It was quiet, almost peaceful. The sound of distant hums and AI whispers echoed softly through the command deck. Captain Valen stood before a projection of the battlefield. 2 alien fleets, 1 ship from each side, had already powered down completely. The rest hovered in place, like statues in space. "Status?" he asked, quietly. "Rise," the ship's AI replied. 57% of all vessels have withdrawn weapon locks. 17% remain on alert. No hostile actions taken since the disintegration of Tharax. Destroyer T-91. Casualties? None. We neutralized the beam before it impacted. Valen nodded slowly. "Any comes. Thousands. Begging for clarification, surrender, or negotiation." He raised a brow. "Surrender. RISE confirmed. 3 captains have requested immediate terms of surrender, without knowing our purpose." Valen almost smiled. "They remember." He walked slowly toward the central control dais. A shimmering map appeared. The planet below flickered in red, still detecting that Terran signal. Yes, buried deep beneath the crust. Weak, fragmented. Could it be a beacon? Possibly. Or a black box. But the text signature is familiar. Valen frowned. "Begin analysis." "If it's one of ours, I want to know what it was doing here." Rise paused. "Captain, incoming signal. Private channel. It's encrypted and old." Valen's eyes narrowed. "How old?" 212 years. He stared at the screen. "Open it." A voice crackled through the audio. "This is Captain Elias Runn, of the TNS Warden. If you are receiving this, then the Revenant has awakened. The system is unstable. I am buried beneath the surface. They must not find me. The war must not begin again. Earth is watching." Valen stood frozen. Rise whispered, "Captain, the Warden was lost during the last war. So it's not just us," Valen muttered. "Another one survived." He looked back at the display of the alien fleets. "No one can know what's buried here. Not yet. If they dig too deep, they'll awaken it." Rise finished. Meanwhile, panic was spreading across the alien fleets. In the Zaan Dominion War Council chamber, commanders argued. "It's a ghost ship." One shouted, "No, it's a weapon left behind to watch us. We have to destroy it now, before it activates more." Vex silenced them all. Did you see what it did to the Tharix destroyer? We fire again, and none of us will make it out. A younger officer spoke up. Then what do we do, Commander? Vec looked at the displot, the silent revenant. We survive, he said. We hold. We don't breathe unless it lets us. In the Tharix fleet, Jessica had reached a decision. Send a signal, she said, to the humans, to whoever is inside that thing. I want to talk. I don't care if they answer. Let them know we're not enemies. Not anymore. But they destroyed us before. Jessica stared out the viewport. Maybe that's why we need to talk now. RISE pinged Valen. Again, another message. No weapons, just peace. Valen didn't answer for a moment. Record and log all transmissions, but don't respond yet. Rise processed the request. They're waiting. I know. Valen turned and walked the length of the bridge. They need to feel this silence. It's the only way they'll remember. He stopped and looked down at the red pulsing mark beneath the planet's crust. We need to go down there. Not safe, Rise warned. Not yet. Too many variables. Then we wait, he said. But keep weapons ready. If any of them move the wrong way, we burn them. Rise finished. Valen didn't smile. His voice was flat. No, not yet. This time, we try something else. Outside, in the stillness of space, two great alien fleets floated like forgotten relics. No shots were fired. Numbered threats were spoken, but fear hung heavier than missiles. The TNS Revenant remained silent, watching, waiting, and in that silence, every species in orbit understood one thing clearly. Humanity had not come back to make peace. They had come back to judge. A cold hush stretched across the war zone like a heavy fog. The stars above blinked quietly, unaware of the tension hanging below. Dozens of alien ships drifted in orbit, engines powered down, weapons silent. Every sensor remained locked on the Terran warship. The TNS Revenant hadn't moved, it hadn't spoken again, and that made it even more terrifying. On the bridge of the Tharix Republic's flagship, Admiral Jessica stared at the silent shape. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. It just watches. Her second-in-command nodded. No transmissions in the last hour, not even a threat, just ... that one message. Jessica repeated it aloud. Combat zone violation detected. Any further aggression will result in total neutralization. The words hung in the air like a ghost. Elsewhere, inside a Zaan Dominion dreadnought, Commander Vex slammed his fist onto the console. This silence is a tactic, he snapped. It makes us hesitate. It makes us weak. His crew watched him carefully. No one wanted to be the one to suggest caution. No one dared remind him of what had happened to the Tharix destroyer earlier. Commander, his tactical officer said softly. Should we prepare for retreat? No, Vec growled. We do not run from ghosts. He leaned forward. Select one of our scout vessels, remote pilot it, fly it toward the Terran ship. Sir, it's a drone. I want to know how it reacts. Maybe it's just a bluff. The officer hesitated, then obeyed. A small unmanned scout detached from the fleet and began to drift forward, aboard the Revenant. Captain Valen stood with arms crossed, watching the screen. The drone appeared as a flickering red dot on the tactical display. Another test, he said. Rise confirmed. Unmanned probe, weak signal. They're testing our limits. Valen nodded. Let them. Rise waited. No action. Monitor. Only, if they send a weapon, we erase it. Otherwise, we keep watching. The drone moved closer. A few thousand kilometers. 1,000. 500. Then it stopped. On the Zaan bridge, Vec leaned in. No response. None. His officer replied. A small smile crept across Vec's face. It fears us. That was a mistake. In a nearby Tharix cruiser, Captain Auric was watching both fleets carefully. He was young, proud, and burning with anger. We show fear, he said, pacing. We sit like prey. The Zaan send drones. We do nothing, and that thing insults our honor. His lieutenant looked nervous. Orders from high command are clear. Do not provoke. Auric waved a hand dismissively. Then we make it quick. One shot. One warning. A grazing blast just near its hull. No damage. That could trigger, I said. One shot. A pulse of energy lit the darkness. A focused beam from the Tharix cruiser fired across the void, and Blue aimed just off the Revenant's port side. A warning, a show of strength. It never landed. The Revenant moved, not by much, just a flicker, but in that flicker, The beam vanished, erased, disassembled at the molecular level mid-flight. Then, before anyone could blink, the Revenant returned fire. One shot, a narrow, crimson beam, silent, precise. The Tharex cruiser didn't explode. It simply stopped existing. No wreckage, no fire, no cry for help, just gone. Every fleet froze, even those far outside the war zone. Inside command ships, alarms screamed. Engine core began heating. Some captains prepared to jump. Others shut down every system, trying not to draw attention. Admiral Jessica stared at the empty space where her cruiser had been. "That wasn't a strike," she whispered. "That was a message." Inside the Revenant, Rise confirmed the action. Target neutralized. No collateral impact. Fleet status, 91% in shock, 42% attempting withdrawal. Valen said nothing. He simply stepped closer to the main display. "Broadcast again," he said. Rice's voice echoed across every ship, every language, every mind. "Combat zone violation confirmed. You were warned. This is your final notice. Disengage or be erased." Commander Vec trembled. They destroyed a ship with one beam. His bridge crew had gone silent. Some were praying. Others just stared at the screen. Vec's voice cracked. "Recall the drone. Order full retreat." "But sir, we are not prepared for this." "No one is." On a neutral observation station, far from the battlefield, a dozen different species watched the event unfold. "What is that ship?" One asked. "It's human." Another replied, "Impossible. Earth has been silent for over 2 centuries. "Maybe," said a third, "but the stories were true. The ghost fleet lives." Back aboard the Revenant, Captain Valen's face was calm. Rise reported, "All fleets retreating. No further hostile acts." "Good," Valen said. "Then we've made our point. But the signal from the planet continues. It's growing stronger." Valen looked down at the map. The red glow beneath the surface pulsed again. "It's waking up." RISE processed. Possibility. Another Terran vessel. Or an ancient AI system. The signature is familiar. Valen's jaw clenched. "Send a probe. I want eyes down there." "And if something answers?" the AI asked. "Then," Valen said darkly, "we're not done here." In orbit, the alien fleets turned and pulled back. Engines fired. Shields raised. None dared look back at the Terran ship. In the silence that followed, the galaxy shivered. A single Terran warship had returned. It did not ask for peace. It did not beg for understanding. It gave one warning and one shot. That was enough, because now they knew Earth was watching again. Whispers spread across the stars like wildfire. One ship, one beam, one vanished cruiser. And the galaxy remembered what it had tried to forget. Humanity was never truly gone. Inside deep space communication networks, ancient files reawakened. Dust-covered records were decrypted. Hidden reports, long ignored, were now being read by trembling hands. One phrase repeated in every language: TNS Revenant. Status: destroyed. Confirmed loss: year 2161. But there it was floating, in real time, alive and deadly. In the Zaan Dominion capital ship. Commander Vec sat alone in his chamber, surrounded by screens displaying images of the Terran warship. His face was pale, his voice quiet. "It's impossible," he muttered. "It was destroyed during the collapse." His science officer entered, holding a tablet. "Sir, we confirmed the hull code. It matches perfectly. It is the TNS Revenant." Vec looked up sharply. "Then how is it here?" The officer hesitated. "The file mentions something." Project Echo. Vec frowned. "Project what?" She pulled up a file. Terran. Experimental Initiative. Rumors of AI-controlled warships with stealth cores, self-repairing hulls, and deep space logic autonomy. Designed to disappear. To wait. To return only if the galactic balance broke again. Self-repairing, self-thinking, Vec whispered. According to this, they were built to outlast even Earth itself. Far across the field, Admiral Jessica stood on her bridge, watching the Revenant in complete silence. A Tharex historian appeared on her comms. "I found something," he said breathlessly. "The name Revenant appears in forbidden texts. Earth's final war fleet, Ghost class, designed for judgment, not mercy." Jessica frowned. Judgment. Once deployed, they were instructed never to return unless the galaxy became unstable again. Their only protocol: observe, warn, eliminate if necessary. Jessica's voice dropped to a whisper. We've broken the balance. Inside the TNS Revenant, Valen stood in front of a shimmering projectioner, recording from the past. A human captain, weary and injured, stared into the screen. This is Captain Elias Runn of the TNS Warden. If this message reaches any surviving Ghost-class vessels, the mission is compromised. I buried myself beneath the surface of Zarnis 4 to protect it. But if you find this, the galaxy may have already burned. Valen didn't move. Rise processed. The signal, the voice print is genuine. The location matches the energy source we detected. Valen nodded. Then he's down there. One of our own. Should I prepare an extraction team? Valen walked slowly around the map of the planet. No, not yet. If we send troops, we reveal our interest, and the aliens are still watching. On the outer edge of the combat zone, smaller alien ships had begun quietly recording everything. Spy vessels, freelancers, independent empires. They all had one goal now. Study the Terran ship. Learn its weakness. A pirate lord named Krothak leaned back in his seat aboard his cloaked vessel. His crew analyzed scans from earlier encounters. Find me something I can sell, he said. A weakness, a system flaw, something. His tech expert squinted. There's nothing. Krothak leaned forward. Everyone has a weakness. The tech looked pale. Not this. Its shields are quantum-wrapped. Hull regenerates. No external fuel source. It's alive, Krothak grunted. Then we find its brain. Kill that. Kill the ship. Another crewman spoke up. But what if it doesn't have a brain? That thought chilled even Krothak. Back aboard the Revenant. Rise, updated Valen. Multiple, unauthorized scans detected. Several stealth vessels nearby. Valen didn't react. Let them scan. Won't that expose us? It doesn't matter. They already know what we are. Now they're just trying to understand how we exist. He paused and added, that's a far more terrifying question. In a secret meeting deep in the Tharax homeworld, high generals gathered in silence. One asked, can it be destroyed? One answered. Another spoke. What if there are more? A third general leaned in. There were 6 Ghost-class ships built, according to old files. 6, and we're only seeing 1. The table went quiet. Then someone whispered, we need to find the others before they wake up. Elsewhere, within the Zarn Dominion's inner council, arguments broke out. They will wipe us out. We need to ally with the Tharax. No submit. To the humans, a quiet voice rose above the shouting. We don't even know what they want. Everyone turned to face the High Seer, an old strategist with white eyes. They came here without words. They erased only 1 ship. Then they watched. What does that mean? The Seer stared into the star map and said, it means they're not here to conquer. They're here to see if we'll destroy ourselves. Valen stood quietly inside the observation deck of the Revenant, watching as the fleets slowly drifted apart. Rise, he said. How long can we hold position here before drawing more attention? Attention is already high. Probability of enemy recon units approaching, 94%. Send out warning drones. Passive, non-lethal message. Valen spoke clearly. This zone is under Terran observation. Any aggressive act will be met with response. Rise paused. Understood. Then it added, Captain, the signal beneath the planet is growing stronger. Valen's voice dropped. He's waking up. Captain Run, or something worse. In the darkness below the planet's crust, ancient metal groaned. A silent chamber lit for the first time in centuries. Inside a coffin-shaped pod, a man slowly opened his eyes. His face was pale, his breath shallow, but his voice hoarse, yet clear echoed into the ship around him. Revenant, you made it. In orbit, nothing moved. The Revenant still floated like a shadow in space. Alien ships kept their distance. Pirates fled. Empires watched in fear. But in the silence, one truth became clear across the galaxy. The ship they thought destroyed had returned, and it was only the beginning. Because, if the Revenant had awakened, the others might not be far behind. The galaxy trembled not because of what the Revenant had done, but because of what it hadn't. 1 shot, 1 warning, 1 vanished cruiser. Then nothing. No pursuit, no demands, no ultimatums, just silence. And in that silence, fear grew louder than any war cry. In the inner chambers of the Zarn Dominion's High War Council, tension crackled in the air. Commanders and ministers from across the Empire had gathered via hologram, their faces pale and expressions grim. Commander Vex stood before them, armor scorched from the front line, eyes heavy. "You all saw it," he said flatly. "The TNS Revenant is active, and it is not here by accident." One counselor hissed, "Impossible. The Terrans had been gone for centuries." "Then explain the ship," Vex snapped. "Explain the cruiser it erased, or the drone it disabled without firing, or the silence that followed." Another spoke. "Could it be a copy, a trick?" Vex shook his head. "No, it's the original. Every registry code matches. It's operating under an AI named Rise. That's Terran military protocol." Whispers filled the chamber. One elder leaned forward, voice shaking. "I once heard stories about ships that watched from the shadows. They weren't meant to fight. They were meant to decide." Another voice added, "Project Echo." Vec nodded grimly. "I believe the Revenant is one of them. Thousands of light years away, in the Tharex Republic capital." A similar panic spread across their war assembly. Admiral Jessica stood in full uniform, addressing her own people. "We confirmed it," she said, displaying visuals of the Revenant. "It is a human Ghost-class warship. Thought destroyed. It has returned, and it has already fired once." The senators murmured in alarm. "We at war with Earth again?" one asked. Jessica shook her head. "No, not yet, but we are under their judgment." A senator scoffed. "Judgment? By what right?" Jessica didn't blink. "By the right of power. The Revenant didn't fight us. It warned us. We've been playing war while their eyes were closed. Now they've opened. Then what do they want?" Someone else demanded. Jessica hesitated. "That's what terrifies me. They haven't said." Back aboard the TNS Revenant, Captain Valen sat in silence, listening as the faint signal from the planet's surface grew stronger. "Rise," he said calmly. "Status of the buried pod." "Life signs confirmed," the AI replied. "Cryos ending, neural activity rising. Subject will awaken in 1 hour." "Is he stable?" "Yes, but memories may be damaged." Valen looked at the planet's readout. "So Captain Run survived the collapse?" Rice replied. "He sealed himself below to prevent the Warden's systems from falling into alien hands." Valen nodded. "He did his duty. Now it's our turn." Meanwhile, across dozens of star systems, empires gathered in secret. The Fexery Coalition, the Varnax Enclave, even the distant Matari Harmonium rivals turned allies out of shed terror. They all had the same question. What happens if the Revenant decides we're unworthy? In a hidden asteroid meeting site, an emergency council of military leaders spoke in panicked tones. "This cannot continue. One ship holds us hostage. We need to unite, strike together. Overwhelm it. Are you mad?" One barked. "You saw what one beam did. That ship deleted a cruiser without leaving debris. But what if there are more?" Another hissed. "What if Earth sends another fleet?" "They're not sending anything," a voice said coldly. All turned to see the speaker, a Mitari operative known as Velen. "They're not sending anything," he repeated, "because they've already arrived. We just don't know where the rest of them are." Silence. Dread. "We don't need weapons," Velen said. "We need knowledge. If we can find their command protocols, learn how the Ghost class operates, we may find a way to shut it down." Back on the Revenant, Rise was already aware of their plans. "Several factions are initiating black ops," the AI reported. "Spy vessels approaching. High likelihood of infiltration attempts." Valen nodded. "Let them try. It will teach them something." He turned toward the holographic table. A soft blue dot pulsed where Captain Run's pod lay. "He's waking." Beneath the planet's surface, in an ancient Terran bunker, the cryopod finally hissed open. The man inside took a gasping breath, coughing against the stale air. A light flickered overhead. A voice came from a speaker embedded in the wall. "Captain Run, this is the TNS Revenant. Do you hear us?" He blinked, then whispered hoarsely, "Revenant, you made it." "Yes," Rise replied. "You sealed yourself 212 years ago. The balance has tipped again. The war did not end. It simply paused." Run coughed again. "So, they're still fighting?" "Yes, and now, they've seen us." The captain sat up slowly, strength returning. "Good, then maybe they'll listen this time." Back on the surface, Rise notified Valen. "Subject awake, conscious, requesting extraction." Valen gave the order. "Send down the Spectre team, quietly. I don't want any alien eyes near that site." "Understood, and prepare a new message." "Something they won't expect." "Message content?" Rise asked. Valen turned away from the screen and stared into the stars. "Tell them, Earth has not returned to conquer. We've returned to clean up their mess." Meanwhile, in the pirate-controlled Ralthis cluster, an illegal transmission pulsed across the network. A blurry image, the TNS Revenant, hovering above the planet, the words beneath it, "They're back. Hide while you still can." It went viral. Within an hour, smugglers changed routes. Warlords abandoned stations. Some even surrendered to rival empires just to avoid attracting attention. In the depths of the galaxy's largest data archive, an old AI flickered awake for the first time in centuries. A single question echoed in its logic core: has Earth re-engaged? When the answer came, it replied with a single line of code: initiate contingency, Terran Protocol Alpha. The galaxy was not ready, because fear had finally reached the one place. It was never meant to touch the Council of Elders. They had buried the truth, they had erased the warnings, but now, the past was coming for them, and it wore Terran armor. Far from the war zone, in a quiet corner of the galaxy, a station floated above a dead star. No engines, no signs of life, and yet, deep within its core, a secret council gathered. The Council of Elders, 12 beings from the oldest surviving species watched the footage of the TNS Revenant in silence. The red-scaled elder from the Shkun Collective finally spoke. "It's not possible. That ship was destroyed." The pale-eyed elder of the Ilery replied softly, "No, it survived, just as we feared." Another slammed a fist on the glowing table. "We buried the ghost class. We erased their names. We made sure Earth would never rise again." The Ilery's voice remained calm. But Earth did not rise. The Revenant did, and it is not alone. A shiver passed through the room. They all knew what that meant. Back near the war zone, the skies above Xanis 4 were no longer crowded. The fleets had retreated. Only cloaked scout ships remained, observing from afar. The Revenant hovered alone in orbit, a silent sentinel. Inside, Captain Valen reviewed the incoming data. "Spectre team is en route to the surface," Rise reported. "Extraction of Captain Run in progress." Valen nodded. "Any resistance?" "None. Local fauna only. No intelligent species remain on this planet." Valen's gaze lingered on the red mark on the map, the buried Terran bunker. "This place was supposed to be forgotten," Rise replied. "But memory is a fragile thing, and the galaxy has a habit of digging where it shouldn't." On the planet's surface, wind blew across dry rock and ruins, long swallowed by time. Out of the sky, a near-invisible dropship descended, its hull cloaked in refractive shielding. It landed without sound. 4 figures emerged, black armor, faceless helmets, and weapons humming with stored energy. TERRAN, Spectre operatives. The lead knelt beside the pod, buried in a half-exposed chamber of metal and concrete. They scanned the structure, then tapped a sequence into their gauntlet. The pod opened. Captain Elias Run blinked against the daylight. His body shook. His voice rasped. You're late." The Spectre leader offered him a hand. "No, sir. You were early." Aboard the Revenant, Rise suddenly froze. Alert. Unauthorized data request. External AI attempting penetration. Valen stood straight. Source. Origin. Point unknown. Highly sophisticated intrusion signature. Similar to Council encryption. Protocols. Valen's voice dropped. "The Elders." Rise pulsed blue. "Countermeasure activated. Request denied." Valen stepped to the comm platform. "Send them a message." Message content. Valen spoke coldly. "We see you." In the Elders station, the Council's main AI flickered. One line of text scrolled across the screen in Terran script. "Greater than access blocked. Observation detected." Message from TNS Revenant. "We see you." Silence fell over the room. The Shun Elder whispered, "They know we're watching." The Ilari Elder leaned forward. "Then we no longer have the option of hiding." Back in orbit, as the Spectre dropship ascended with Captain Run aboard, Rice updated the captain. Subject, recovering. Memory stable. Mission logs intact. Valen crossed his arms. "Has he said anything?" "Only this: I saw what they were planning." Valen raised an eyebrow, and Rise paused. "He believes the war we ended was never truly over. It simply went underground. In the darkness of deep space, ships began to move. Not alien fleets, not pirates, black ships, silent, hidden. Each bore a Terran signature, so old it had faded from every galactic archive. Their hulls were covered in dust, scars, and long-dead battle marks. But inside, they were waking dot across 5 star systems. Terran Ghost-class warships, stirred one by one. Their AI cores lit with the same cold blue. Their command strings echoed the same protocol. Echo Fleet. Status, Sleeper, active. Awakening triggered purpose, rebalance, and all of them turned toward the REVENANT. Inside the Revenant, Ran finally stood on his own feet in the medbay, wrapped in fresh armor. His voice had regained strength. He stepped onto the bridge. Valen turned to face him. The 2 captains locked eyes. "I buried the Warden," Ran said, "deep enough to never be found. I sealed the archives, shut down the AI, and yet," Valen said, "we found you." Ran stared at the star map, watching as Ghost-class vessels activated across the system. "They're all coming online." Valen nodded. "You triggered something when you woke up." "No," Ran whispered. "They were always listening, waiting for the first to return." He turned to Valen. "We need to move, now, before the Elders panic." Valen gave the order. "Rise, transmit priority signal, link to the other ghosts, rebuild the fleet." "Confirmed," the AI replied. Fleet designation restored. Echo Armada in distant space. The Elders watched helplessly as 5, then 6, then 8 Ghost-class warships lit up across the quadrant. The Ilari Elders stood. "We underestimated them," the Shun growled. "This was our greatest mistake. We should have crushed Earth while we had the chance." Another hissed, "There is still time. We must act before the fleet But the Ilari turned to them all and whispered, "No, there is no more time. We are no longer in control." A new broadcast echoed across the stars. Not a threat, not a demand, just a calm, steady voice. "Captain Valen's. To the galaxy that forgot us, we have not returned to destroy. We have returned to remind you peace is not given. It is enforced. Echo Armada is active. Stand down, or be stood down." In thousands of systems, screens lit up with that message. Leaders froze, citizens gasped, commanders reached for retreat, codes, and somewhere, in a dark corner of the galaxy, a terrified pirate whispered the truth everyone now knew. The ghosts are real, and they're coming home. The silence after the Zaan fleet's destruction echoed louder than their weapons ever could. 1 fleet, 43 seconds, not a single survivor. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer sleeping. But just as the galaxy began to accept this terrifying truth, something far worse happened. Earth spoke. Aboard the TNS Revenant, Captain Valen stood frozen. He stared at the message again. "You are not alone. Await further contact." RISE's voice was steady but tense. "Signal origin, deep sector, far beyond the Sol system. Coordinates don't match any known Terran facility." Captain Ran leaned in. "Could it be a trap?" Valen shook his head. "The encryption is Terran, but not like ours. It's older," Rise added. "Estimated signal age, 632 years. It was delayed, buried in dark space, meant to awaken only if Echo Armada came online." Valen's voice dropped. "A dead man's warning." "No," Ran said. "A dead world's whisper." At that same moment, across the galaxy, command centers from the Therax Republic to the Mitari Harmonium scrambled to interpret the signal. Panic began to spread again, faster than before, not because of the Revenant, but because the one place every species believed was lifeless had just spoken in the ruins of Sector Zero, beyond a collapsing nebula. A listening station built on a shattered asteroid blinked to life. Inside it, a dusty machine woke for the first time in 6 centuries. Its only function: transmit one message to whoever still bore the Echo signature. The words it carried had been recorded by a Terran officer with grey hair, tired eyes, and blood. On his uniform: "If you're receiving this, you've survived. That means the ghosts are awake. That means the galaxy is broken again. We failed once, never again. If Earth is gone, then let our fury be remembered. Go to the core. Finish what we started." The screen blinked. Coordinates followed. A hidden system, deep inside the galactic core. Unreachable. Uncharted. Until now. On the Revenant. RISE projected the coordinates across the command deck. Valen narrowed his eyes. That's inside the forbidden expanse. Ron's brow furrowed. No one enters that region. Gravity storms, spacefault fractures, ships vanish in seconds. RISE interjected. Terran vessels were built to survive it. According to logs, Project Echelon was hidden inside that region. The final directive secured the last failsafe. Valen looked between Ron and the screen. If it's there, and it's waking, then we're not the last of Earth. Ron nodded slowly. We're just the first to answer. Far away, in the shadowed halls of the Council of Elders, fear had twisted into panic. They're going to the core, one hissed. They know. The Ashmine's voice was cold and final. We warned this day would come. The Shun Elder growled. We destroyed Earth. We watched it burn. No, said the Ilari Elder. We killed the planet. But we never understood the species. The Ashmine agreed. We destroyed their soil, not their spirit. And now, their machines carry the will of 1 billion dead. One counselor whispered, what happens if they find Echelon? The Ashmine replied, then we will not live long enough to regret it. As the Ghost Armada converged near the edge of the expanse, their formation shifted. The Shade and Vindicator took the lead, cutting through fractured gravity fields with ease. Even cloaked spy ships watching from afar struggled to follow. Inside the Revenant, Valen gave the order. Engage deep sync drives. We're going in. Rise confirmed. All ships responding. Fleet sync complete. Transition in 10 seconds. Ran gripped the rail beside him. No one's ever come back from the core. Valen gave a grim smile. That's why we will. The moment the Echo Armada entered the expanse, the stars bent, colors shifted. Reality folded like paper. To untrained minds, it would have been madness, but to Terran AI, it was simply a path. The journey lasted 7 minutes, then space reformed, and before them stood something none of them had ever seen before, a city of light and metal, suspended inside a hollowed star. Alive, pulsing, waiting, the hidden core of Terran civilization. Project Echelon. Rise, Valen said slowly. Is this real? Confirmed, the AI replied. Structure is 112 kilometers across, composed entirely of unknown Terran alloys. Energy signature is consistent with stasis-level AI activity. Life forms none detected, but systems are online. Captain Ran stepped forward. So this is what they left behind. A last breath, in case we failed. Valen whispered, no, this isn't a breath, it's a second heartbeat. Back in the known galaxy, across every newsfeed and data node, a single headline spread. The Deathworlders have found the core. Some fled to bunkers, others prepared fleets. The Elders sent ships toward the expanse, desperate, reckless, but deep down they all knew it was already too late. Inside the Echelon core, a voice spoke, not from speakers, not from code. It echoed inside the minds of every Echo Armada captain. Warm, human, fierce, you who answered the call. Welcome home. The galaxy broke the peace. It silenced Earth, but it did not kill its memory. You are the memory. And now, it is time to choose. A soft hum followed. Then massive doors opened within the core. Inside them, rows of Terran warships, newer than any alive had seen, untouched, ready, sleeping. An entire fleet, hidden from time. Valen's voice dropped to a whisper. We're not the last generation. We're the second wave. Ran stared in awe, and the galaxy has no idea what's coming. Because Earth didn't just survive, it planned. The galaxy thought Earth was gone, burned, broken, buried in silence. But now, deep inside the hollowed heart of a star, the truth stood revealed. Earth had not died. It had prepared. Inside the Echelon core, the silence was thick, humming with energy too vast to measure. Rows of Terran warships floated in perfect alignment, pristine, untouched by time. Each vessel bore markings long erased from history. Ghost-class, successors, battlecruisers, command frigates, and something else. At the center stood a ship, unlike any other. Massive, angular. Dark as space itself. Its name glowed faintly in red. Letters on its side. TNS Vengeance. Captain Valen stood aboard the Revenant. Eyes locked on the monstrous vessel. Rise, he asked. What class is that? The AI replied, almost reverently. Designation, Sovereign Class, designed as Earth's final answer to galactic aggression. Never launched, hidden with Project Echelon. Ran stared. A ship meant to end wars before they begin. Valen stepped forward. And now it's ours. Far beyond the core, chaos exploded across the galaxy. The Elders had sent their fastest strike fleet, nearly 100 ships, armed with their most advanced tech, into the expanse. Their orders were simple: destroy the Echelon core before it wakes. But they were too late. Inside the core, Echelon's central AI finally revealed itself. It took the shape of a Terran woman in silver armor, glowing faintly, her eyes sharp and calm. "I am Eva, Echo Vanguard Administrator," she said. "This facility was built to preserve humanity's second strike capability. Protocol 0 has been fulfilled. You, the Echo Armada, are authorized to assume command." Valen stepped into the projection chamber. "How many ships are active?" "Total reserve fleet, 172 ships. Fully fueled, AI compatible. Weapon systems nominal." Run whistled low. "That's not a reserve. That's an armada," EVA continued. "TNS Vengeance is Sovereign Command Class. Awaiting your keycode," Rise chimed in. "Code authenticated." The massive ship's core pulsed red. Then it woke. In open space, the Elder Strike fleet dropped from warp near the expanse boundary. The commander, High Talari of the Shun, activated wide-range scans. "Target, Echelon core. Begin approach. Pattern Delta. Prepare all weapons." But then the void blinked, and ships appeared. Not one, not 10, not 30, not 30. Hundreds. VALEN. Single quotes. His voice came through the comms. "You are trespassing on Terran ground. You will turn back now." The Elder Commander snarled. "We will not bow to ghosts." Valen didn't respond, but Vengeance did. The giant ship pulsed once, and a beam of light tore through space. One Elder cruiser vanished, then another, then 6 more. All in seconds. The rest turned. They didn't fight. They ran. Because now they understood. The ghosts were not the danger. This was. Back on the Revenant, Run crossed his arms. "What now?" Valen turned toward Eva. "How many planets do we know were involved in the Earth's Silence Protocol?" Eva replied, 36 confirmed, 61 suspected, all data archived. Valen nodded. "Then we begin the audit." Run frowned. "Audit?" Valen looked out into the core. "Every species that helped wipe out Earth is going to explain themselves, one by one." Within hours, Echo Armada was on the move again. Terran ships, once thought myths, now tore across trade lanes, passing over neutral territories with silent judgment. No shots, no invasions, only the cold announcement from each ship: "This system is under review by Terran Audit Protocol. Do not resist." Some planets opened their gates, others begged for mercy. A few chose defiance, and they were erased. In the Tharax Republic, Admiral Jeska stood in her war room, watching as 3 Terran ships hovered outside their defense grid. "We stayed out of the Earth's silence," she said. "We weren't involved." Her advisor replied nervously, "But we benefited when others burned. We took their markets, stole their tech." "That's complicity," Jeska whispered. "Then we may have only one chance." She stepped outside, opened a channel, and faced the hovering vessel. "I am Admiral Jeska of the Tharax Republic. We acknowledge our past, and we stand ready to answer for it." The reply came not with fire, but a single message: "Audit accepted. You may speak." But not all were so lucky. The Varnix Enclave resisted. They activated weapons, locked targets. They believed the Terran fleet could be stalled, slowed. They were wrong. When the Echo Armada descended, it did so in silence. No celebration, no cruelty. Just justice. In under 4 minutes, the Varnax homeworld's military network was offline. The fleet shattered. Their leader gone. A Terran drone was left behind with one message: "This is not revenge. This is accountability." Across the stars, whispers became cries. Empires begged, others surrendered without condition, and those who had once laughed at the Deathworlders now sent tribute to them, because they understood humanity hadn't survived. It had prepared. In the Council of Elders, despair ruled. The Ashmine spoke one final truth: "We didn't kill Earth. We gave it a reason to endure. Now we reap what we sowed." The others turned to him. "What do we do?" He answered coldly, "We begged." Aboard the TNS Vengeance, Captain Valen received a message from the Elders. A full council session. On knees, hands raised, eyes downcast. Pleading. Valen watched the footage. Expression unreadable. "They finally understand," Run muttered. Valen didn't respond immediately, then said, "Prepare the broadcast." Rise activated full-spectrum transmission, and Valen spoke to the galaxy. You burned our world, you hunted our kind, and still we returned, not to rule, not to destroy, but to remind you that justice never forgets. We are Earth's memory, we are Echo Armada, and we are not done yet, because justice had only just begun, and Earth's silence was finally over. The galaxy was no longer ruled by empires. It was ruled by fear. Not fear of destruction, not fear of war, but fear of a memory made real, a memory with a fleet, and at the heart of that fleet was a name, once spoken only in myths, called an Earth. Across systems, across fractured alliances, and once proud republics, the image of the TNS Vengeance, that colossal sovereign-class warship, cast a shadow over every sky it passed. Its hull was silent. Its weapons never missed, but what terrified the galaxy more was what it represented. A dead world that refused to die, a silence that returned with judgment. Inside the Revenant, Captain Valen stood on the command deck. He watched as Eva's hologram displayed a galaxy-wide map. Over 70 systems had submitted to the audit, some peacefully, others painfully. Captain Ran leaned over the rail. The last ones are hiding now, the ones who screamed for Earth's death the loudest. Valen nodded. They'll make us come to them. Rise spoke from the console. Interception report: Voxery Combine fleet, attempting to flee toward dark space. Unauthorized warp jump detected. Valen narrowed his eyes. The Combine, they funded the Earth erasure plan. They armed the fleets, and now they run. Hip turned toward the center console. Set course. We finished this. The Voxery Combine was once a powerhouse, rich, untouchable, drenched in the profits of war. But they had forgotten the one law Earth always lived by. Actions have consequences. In the outskirts of the Varkas Vale, a Voxery dreadnought and 3 escort cruisers were tearing through space. Their warp engines bled light, pushing into unstable folds of reality. Inside the lead vessel, Grand Chancellor Jern sat trembling in his command chair. "They're coming," he whispered. His aide replied, voice barely audible. "We've boosted engine output. If we reach the Vale, they won't be able to track us." "No," Jern said, shaking his head. "You don't understand. They've already found us. They're just watching." And he was right. Seconds later, alarms screamed. A tier opened in space ahead of them, and out came Vengeance. Captain Valen stood tall on his bridge. Broadcast, RISE, opened the channel. Valen's voice was steady. "Voxery Combine, you financed genocide. You bought the silence of Earth. And now, your time is ended." Chancellor Jern appeared on the comm. He tried to speak boldly, but his voice cracked. We were not alone in this. The elders gave the orders. We only." Valen didn't flinch. "You profited from the death of a world. We only did what others. You did enough." Valen's eyes hardened. "Rise, judgment, protocol, full activation." "Confirmed," the AI replied. Moments later, the Vengeance launched its wrath, and the Voxery ships vanished in light. No wreckage, no warnings. Just silence. Run turned. "That's the last of the original targets." Valen gave a quiet nod, but EVA's hologram pulsed. "Captain, I've completed the final analysis. There is one last entry." Valen looked up. "Show me." A name appeared on the screen. "Sol system status. Silent." Run stepped forward, stunned. "Earth." Valen whispered. The signal said, "You are not alone." The fleet reassembled. Echo Armada, Terran ships reborn from myth. Ghost-class vessels, sovereign command ships. The Revenant and Vengeance at the head. Their final destination, Soldot. As the ships descended through ancient gravity fields near the lost solar border, Rise activated the scanners. No communications detected. Orbital debris minimal. Planetary energy signatures faint. Life signs unknown. But then, deep inside Earth's ruined orbit, a beacon pulsed. Faint. Old. Still alive. Valen stood frozen. "That's an arc beacon." Run blinked. "Those were only used during the last days of the collapse." RISE confirmed. "Signal is authentic. Origin point, Earth. Subterranean facility. Deep core vault." Valen didn't hesitate. "Take us in." The Revenant broke orbit first. Its hull passed over what was once North America, now a wasteland of ash and broken steel. But beneath that dead surface, something still pulsed. The Spectre team was dispatched. 5 soldiers, silent, efficient, Terran-trained. They entered the vault. Torchlights flickered against broken walls, past ruins, past bones, down into a place untouched for 600 years. And then they found it, a stasis pod. 1 figure inside, heart still beating, data streams connected. 2 ancient machines. The pod opened. The man inside gasped, then coughed, then opened his eyes. A voice came through the earpiece placed on him by the team. "Sir," the Spectre leader said, "you've been asleep a long time." The man's voice cracked. "How long?" 602 years. The figure stood tall, grey in his beard, but fire still in his eyes. His badge read, Admiral T. Saren, Earth Command, back aboard the Vengeance. The bridge fell quiet as Admiral Saren stepped inside. Valen stood and saluted. Saren waved him down. "No need for that. You answered the call." He looked around, taking in the sleek ship. He nodded slowly. "So it worked, Project Echelon, the ghosts, the core." Valen stepped forward. "We carried the memory, sir. We made them answer." Soren placed a hand on his shoulder. "You did more than that. You made them remember why they feared us." Later, Valen stood alone, overlooking Earth's cracked surface from orbit. Run approached beside him. "We found our home again," Run said. Valen nodded. "And now," Run smiled, "now they'll think twice before lighting the match." Valen looked back one last time. "Let the galaxy rebuild. Let it heal. But never again will it forget who we are." And with that, the Vengeance turned. The fleet followed, across the stars. Systems once lost to war, now found peace because Terran eyes watched from above. The audit was over, but the message remained. You can burn our cities, you can silence our world, but the memory of Earth will always return. And it will return armed. Echo Armada, standing watch. Earth, remembered. Humanity, unbroken. And in every corner of space, beings told their children, be good, or the ghosts will come again. The end. The message echoed through every corner of known space. Peace is not given, it is enforced. Echo Armada had awakened, in silence, in precision, in wrath held back by steel. 8 Ghost-class Terran warships lit up across 5 systems, each one once thought lost now alive, armed, and watching. And the galaxy trembled. Inside the TNS Revenant, Captain Valen stood with arms crossed as the holographic fleet map updated. Blue dots bloomed across star clusters. Ghost-class ships coming online, connecting through encrypted channels. Rise spoke, voice calm. Echo Armada status, 8 ships active, all captains reporting. 1 vessel TNS Oracle estimated 72 hours. Valen nodded slowly. Any opposition yet? Several small fleets have turned away. Others are attempting long-range scans. Pirate forces have scattered. Most of the Council-aligned factions have gone dark. Valen stepped toward the screen. They're thinking, calculating. Captain Run stood beside him, now fully recovered and back in uniform. "They'll try to talk first," Run said. "But not because they want peace." Valen finished the thought. "Because they fear war." Deep in the Varnix enclave, war drums were silent. The High Strategist, a massive creature of coiled tendrils and armored plates, leaned over a glowing tactical table. A junior officer whispered, "Sir, the ghosts have reconnected. Earth's fleet is operational." The strategist rasped, "They are not Earth's fleet anymore. They are something worse. Soldiers without a world, loyal to no empire, bound only to their directive." He tapped one claw against the table. "Summon the elders. Tell them the fire they tried to smother has lit the skies again." In orbit above Zani's 4, the Revenant received a coded signal. Rise displayed it in a red frame. Unknown encryption. "It's old, very old. Terran signal, but not one we used." Valen studied it. Source, triangulating. Stand by. A long pause. Then Rise spoke again. Source, origin station. Sector 0. Valen's eyes narrowed. "That's impossible. Origin station was destroyed during the fall." Run stepped forward. "No, we assumed it was, but what if it was hidden? Like us?" Rise decoded the message. It was only 3 words. "They're coming back." In the hidden chambers of the Council of Elders, emergency protocols were activated. Holoscreens flickered, data streamed. Fear lingered in the air. "They've received the warning," the Ilari Elder said. From origin, the Shun elders spat. Then it's worse than we thought. Earth isn't gone, it's asleep. And the ghosts were never the last defense, they were just the first. One voice, cold and ancient, rose above the others. A being, known only as the Ashmind, older than any star chart. They are not soldiers, it said. They are reminders. Of what? The others asked. The Ashmind answered simply. What happens when Deathworlders are ignored? Back aboard the Revenant, Valen stood on the observation deck, watching the ghost ships begin to converge. The TNS Shade had entered the system, a sleek black blade of a ship with no windows, no engines visible. As Captain Soraya Dre appeared on the holoscreen. Valen, she said, nice of you to wake the galaxy. I didn't mean to, he replied. It just happened. You always were bad at staying quiet, she smirked. What's the plan? We don't strike, Valen said. Not unless they make the first move. Soraya's expression turned grim. They already did. You just weren't awake to see it. Valen frowned. Go on. We intercepted a data pulse from Sector 9. It contained files, dissection logs, old Terran tech, old human remains, taken from the Battle of Taros. The Elders didn't just erase our history. They harvested us. Valen's eyes hardened. Then our silence was a mistake. In the Zarn Dominion, panic began to show through the cracks. A rogue admiral named Korvik had begun gathering ships, calling for a preemptive strike against the Revenant and the rest of Echo Armada. We wait, we die, he barked to his council. They are waking, and we sit idle. If we do not act now, we will not get the chance, another officer warned. But if we fire, we'll spark a war. Korvik's eyes glowed with fury. So be it. Better to strike and fall than kneel and wait for judgment. And with that, Korvik's fleet turned toward Zarnus 4. Rise's warning came quickly. New fleet entering jump vector. Zarn warships, 32 vessels. On course for this system. Valen gave the order instantly. Raise shields. Signaled the Armada. Ran stepped forward. We give them one warning. Only one. Valen nodded. Rise broadcast the message across all channels. This system is under Terran protection. Stand down, turn back, or be removed. The Zarn fleet didn't respond. Then a single energy spike was detected. A targeting lock. The TNS Revenant didn't move. Not yet. But above the system, space shimmered. One by one. The Ghost-class ships decloaked Shade, Oracle, Vindicator, Whisper, Black Sun, Warden, Eclipse surrounding Xernes for like a steel halo. Rise's voice echoed calmly. Echo Armada active. Engagement authorization granted. Valen spoke one word. Fire. The battle lasted 43 seconds. Not a shot from the Armada missed. Not a single Terran ship took damage. The Zarn fleet, gone. Some vaporized in mid-flight. Others simply vanished, snuffed out by weapons no one had ever seen before. No screams, no wreckage, just silence and the cold, empty dark. Afterward, Valen stood on the bridge as the lights dimmed back to standby. They'll understand now, he said. Run nodded. They'll try peace again, out of fear, not wisdom. Valen didn't smile. That's fine. Fear will keep them honest. Rise then spoke with an edge it rarely used. Captain, message received from unknown Terran signature. It's from Earth. Valen turned sharply. Earth, it says only. You are not alone. Await further contact. For the first time, even Run went silent. Valen whispered, Earth lives. Rise answered quietly. No, something else does. And out in the stars, beyond every known map, something ancient had stirred. Something Terran, and it was watching.